Welcome to Keep Canada Weird Remembers, a series that revisits strange times in Canada's strange past.
Jordan, I haven't time traveled in a while, and I've been kind of craving jumping into some kind of a vehicle, going into a wormhole, and then coming out the other end in a different chapter of time, and then creating a brand new timeline where the previous timeline doesn't exist anymore, and we're in this new timeline in the past, reliving a story.
Okay, that is quite complicated. How about we do this? I'm going to meet you in the middle. Let's hop in the time machine and go back to a simpler time. How about the 1990s? We'll visit a high school in Halifax.
You know, they say that time traveling into the past isn't possible, but we've been doing it on this show for a while now.
We will do it today.
Okay, let's do it.
And we're going to, they say time travel may not be possible, but I dare say some people would say the bizarre events that played out in the 1990s at Charles P. Allen High School, some people would think is impossible, but it happened. Let me tell you about it. Back in the 90s, Charles P. Allen High School students used to run an event that was called Cow Patty Bingo. That was a game where a grid was painted on a school field, cows would be brought to the field, and people would bet on where the cow would do their business first. Kind of like a bizarre, raunchy lottery. Have you ever heard of Cow Patty Bingo?
No, I've never heard of Cow Patty Bingo, and probably for a very good reason.
Would you want to play? Like, I feel like in high school, if they had done this, I would have been so engaged in that. I would have been so interested. We would have been taking bets on, because I'm sure the school is probably some kind of fundraiser, but we would have been trying to make money off this operation. We would have had a casino surrounding this field.
Well, I'll get more into my thoughts on Cow Patty Bingo in a few moments.
People, with the idea of Cow Patty Bingo being played in a field at a high school, you can probably think of a lot of things that could go wrong, but you may not have thought of what actually went wrong in 1994 when they tried to do this at Charles P. Allen. The whole thing went incredibly wrong. Rather than letting me tell you what went wrong, let's listen to one of my favorite pieces of archival news footage ever filmed in Nova Scotia.
Weekend weather forecast, what you can expect when you wake up tomorrow morning.
Plus, there was a cow running loose around Bedford this afternoon. How did that happen? Well, the explanation is utterly ridiculous. Sorry, we'll have it when Live at 5 returns. Don't move.
Oh. Certainly nice. Well, we got just a hilarious, bizarre story for you. It's the story of beef gone bad, a cow on the lamb.
That's right. 10 RCMP officers, a pair of animal control officers, dozens of high school students, and assorted friends and neighbors have spent this Friday afternoon tracking a cow through residential neighborhoods in Bedford and Sackville. An ATV camera crew was with them all the way, and ATV's Jonathan Kay joins us now with an utterly ridiculous story. Jonathan.
It's the kind of thing that can only happen here on a Friday afternoon, Nancy. ATV News photographer Kevin McDonald and I were working on a completely different story when our assignment editor called us and told us we were getting calls here in the newsroom of a cow obstructing traffic in a residential neighborhood. Here's what happened. When the cow escaped, it was in the custody of this Bedford High School student.
Okay. I was holding on to the cow when it came out, and it got nervous. And when it got nervous, because all the people, it shook and its harness broke, and he took off towards the woods.
What are you looking for?
It's a big cow with horns.
Oh, yeah. He went that way.
You might wonder what high school students were doing with a cow on the school grounds in the first place. Well, they were getting ready for an annual event called Cow Patty Bingo. Squares are marked on the school field, and if the cow does his business on your square, you win. This year, things went wrong.
Yeah, at 10-4, I'm on the side of the road there with the students there just to do a search party for that missing cow.
Okay, we just tranquilized the cow now.
Can I go? He's been tranquilized. He's just going to drop.
The cow's owner says people often misjudge just how big, powerful, and unpredictable the animals can be.
Never gonna pitch it.
Yeah. Let it rest, let it drop, and then we'll get it once it's down. There's no sense in chasing it the rest of the day.
That particular member of the RCMP hasn't received his wish yet, though, Nancy and Paul. Right now, that cow is still out here somewhere.
Oh, no.
We'll let you know how it turns out after he's captured.
All right.
Wow.
Thanks a lot, Jonathan.
I'm just like, as we're listening to that, we're watching the video, but the audio alone, I think, does an amazing job of capturing the absurdity and just the chaos of a bunch of cops and a bunch of high school students chasing a cow around a residential area in Halifax in the 90s.
Yeah, it's a fairly absurd story. It's interesting to listen to just the audio. I really love the mundane reactions to the cow running loose from some of the townsfolk.
Yeah, everyone's pretty, like, overall, everyone was pretty calm about what was happening. The calmest person seemed to be the owner of the cow. He had like a short appearance in the news clip where he just kind of chuckled and mumbled something that I couldn't even make out, but it looked like he was enjoying the whole thing. The police were a little irritated, the RCMP officers, walking around like with a bunch of high school students with the RCMP officer has like a big like tranquilizer gun and stuff. That's kind of an odd scene, but it seems like they tranquilized the cow, but the thing didn't drop. It continued kind of walking off. Apparently they chased this thing like a full day before it finally dropped and they were able to collect it.
Yeah, and I hope the cow was okay after the whole experience. I doubt that it was. I imagine it was traumatized. It was clearly traumatized because it ran away to begin with.
Yeah, seriously.
It did not want to be humiliated at the cow patty bingo or whatever it's called.
The high school. Who thought of that? What a bizarre thing. Like, I could see it at, like, some county fair could do something like that, but to bring it to a high school, drop a couple cows out in a field, a bunch of kids screaming.
Do you know how many times in school I got in trouble for farting or for making fun of poop or for drawing poop on the chalkboard, or the numerous ways that I've gotten in trouble for poop related incidents in junior high, high school, elementary school? It's a long list, and we could do an entirely new podcast all about it. But here in this high school, they're celebrating poop at the humiliation of a cow.
Yeah, and letting people bet on it. The whole thing's bizarre.
Yeah, and teaching gambling, and there's a lot wrong with this story. I can't believe that it was sanctioned by educators. And the cow had every right to run off. The cow was terrified throughout the entire experience. I just find this story overall disturbing.
It is disturbing. Seeing a cow, like I've seen other animals wild in residential areas and people trying to capture it. I've never seen it with a cow before. And I don't think I realized how big those things are. It's basically an armored tank just slowly kind of wobbling around. No one can do anything. At a couple points during the chase that we see in the news footage, and I should also say, pretty awesome that the news team happened to be there from the beginning to document this whole thing. But at a few points as they're chasing the cow, he'll just walk straight in front of a car without any fear at all, and the cars will slam on the brakes. I don't know if a car would even do anything to a cow. The things are so huge. But I want to share an eyewitness report. I was researching this incident, and there's not a lot written or said about it. But there was a post on Reddit by a former student of the school who shared their experiences. Their name on Reddit is Minnie Mazzola. Here's what they said. Many moons ago, I was in high school at CP Allen. It was 91 to 95-ish. They planned to play cow patty bingo one afternoon on the back field. I was on the third floor of the school watching out the window and had a great view of the whole thing. The field was full of screaming high school kids because this was before the internet and no one had phones to play with instead. So everyone just stood around in a field hoping to see a cow shit. The trailer with the cow was at the edge of the grid and the kids surrounded it, and the student body president went to take the cow off the trailer. She was about 5'2". This was no farm girl. This was in Bedford. She was used to a golden retriever at most, and this was a big old cow. So they give her a rope and unhook the cow, and it starts to come out of the trailer, but then the cow goes wild. But then the crowd goes wild, and the cow wanted none of it. It took about 5 seconds for that thing to bolt. The young girl held on for about 20 feet, longer than I would have bet she could have made it. She landed face first and the rope slid out of her hands, and boom, the cow blew through the crowd and took off into the woods. Greatest moment of high school, and all I have is a memory because I would have needed a handy cam the size of a small microwave to film a home video back in '94. If I remember correctly, they had to chase it all day before they finally caught up with it.
Yeah, and then they started teaching a cow chasing course the very next year
at the community college for all the graduates of Charles P. Allen '94.
Yeah, there was such high demand.
That is an amazing story. For any educators who are listening in, I don't suggest doing anything that involves wild animals, poop, or bedding at your school.
No, it should always, if you're going to humiliate anything, it should always be a fellow human, or a teacher. Yeah, sure, a teacher. Mm-hmm. And it should be teacher pooping bingo or whatever, teacher patty or whatever, and you feed the teacher some kind of a laxative
or just a bunch of fiber.
Sure, a bowl of all bran or whatever does the job. Some prunes, and I like the laxative because then you know it's going to take effect and it's going to happen quickly and probably not under the control of the teacher.
Yeah, put them all out in the field.
Yeah, and then start playing teacher Patty bingo. And then if there's a teacher named Patty, then it's Patty bingo.
I like this story, Aaron. I'm glad we were able to hop in the time machine and go back. Thank you, Charles P. Allen, for keeping Canada weird back in the 90s. Aaron, let's wrap this up. Until next time.
Jordan, until next time.
I would have bet on the square closest to the tractor trailer thing because I wouldn't have thought the cow would have done anything other than just stand there chewing grass.
I would not have participated in cow patty bingo. I'd be playing my own bingo inside.
Keep Canada Weird is written, hosted, and produced by the Nighttime Podcast.
And now to our viewers and listeners everywhere. Good night.